Hi, and welcome to the D Life. This is Daniela, and today my guest is Vanessa Frost, owner of MUSEjar Art Studio. She's going to share with us how art and creativity can help contribute to your self-care and finding the bliss in your busy. So thanks for joining us. Hi, and welcome to the D Life. This is Daniela, and I'm here today with Vanessa Frost, owner of MUSEjar Art Studio in East Aurora, New York. So thank you so much, Vanessa, for taking the time to speak with us today.
Happy to be here. I'm excited to kind of share some things from my side of the creative world, I guess.
Okay. So if you want to just take a minute and share a little bit about yourself, both personally and professionally, maybe.
So I went to art school. I mean, not a full-blown art school. I went to the University of Vermont, and I actually studied film. That was my original love, I guess you could say. I liked making movies. I liked making the sets of things. I liked the whole creative process behind that. And I kind of figured out that I wanted to be a production designer.
Okay.
So that was where my focus was. So fresh out of college, I moved to New York City, and I worked in film.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, it was a wild ride. I mean, I still think about it. I have a lot of friends that I made that are still in the industry, and I live vicariously through them. So I did that, and I realized working on a larger scale productions, it wasn't as creative as I had hoped. At least at my level, I was at entry level, and I was at the point where I had to commit to a department or something that I really felt passionate about to kind of get more into those roles. And there was nothing that really did it for me. And I could have been burned out at the time, but I just realized, I was like, you know what? I don't think this is for me. So I kind of pivoted a little bit, and I moved back to Buffalo, and I had an art studio. I decided I always paint throughout wherever I was in my life, and whatever I was doing, I was always trying to create it was a good outlet for me. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to kind of come back to zero and get an art studio and figure it out, essentially. And that's how MUSEjar happened.
Oh, that's fantastic.
In a nutshell.
Okay. So, and you kind of touched on this a little bit, I think, as far as where your true happiness and your bliss, like what that looks like for you.
Honestly, I think that can be found for me personally, I think it can be found in a lot of ways. I think mostly I find the most happiness when I'm able to kind of explore different things. You know what I mean? Like if I'm working way too much, even though my job is creative, but it's a business and it's a job. If I'm not putting time aside for myself to paint, or if I'm not teaching enough, and if it's off kilter a little bit, I find that kind of stifles me. And so I feel like if I'm not stifled, that's where I feel like the most bliss. So, I mean, of course, traveling, being inspired in that way, spending time with friends and family. But I think as I get older, I'm realizing if I always have a creative outlet in some capacity for me personally, that's a really good place to be. In a perfect world, if I was painting every day and that was what I was doing and I was teaching, that would make me happy.
Okay. So I know you said a little bit, feeling like overwhelmed and like you've got too much going on stresses you out.
I think overcommitting, and I think saying yes to too many things, and not doing the things you commit to the best of your ability when you overcommit. So for me, if I'm doing everything at like 50%, I don't like doing that. I want to be able to like do a few things really, really well. So I think as I've grown with MUSEjar, delegating. Okay. And, being okay with relinquishing some things and letting other people do things because they're good at that, and that's why I hire them, So I think balance is a huge thing for me personally.
Thanks for sharing these things. Part of why we talk about it is because I think, the more we talk about it, we realize we're more alike than we are different. We all share a lot of the same common themes and struggles and, areas that we're working on. I love the name MUSEjar. I was reading on your website, that you define muse as that thing that sets your soul on fire. And I found that so resonating because I think that's a lot of what we're all looking for, whether when we're changing jobs or raising our families or even with our friends, we're looking for that thing that ignites us, and that you love helping people find that thing for them. I know we were talking a little bit before we started. If I could share with everyone, part of when I first met you, it was at a Buffalo Boss Babes event. You were part of a speaker panel, and a woman in the audience raised her hand and shared, that you might not have realized, but that she, through a family event, I think, they were all doing a painting class, and while she wasn't looking forward to it because she didn't feel like art was her thing, she wasn't talented, that, that picture that she did in your class hangs in her hallway as her daily spark and reminder, about finding her bliss and finding something outside of her comfort zone, to kind of help motivate her. Can you share a little bit about, maybe how you help others find their bliss, or what you see working with people?
I would say that muse or bliss or whatever that word is for you, I think it all kind of boils down to a similar thing. I think art is like a really good vehicle to find that. Personally, I think that way. So whether it's art or not art, but whether it's drawing or painting or something very specific, I mean, you don't have to love painting. You don't have to love anything in particular, but to have the ability to try, you tap into a part of yourself that you would not normally. So you could even take a cooking class, or you could take, a hand-built like clay. You could do anything that's working with your hands and using your brain in a different way that will encourage you to do things outside of yourself, I think. And to me, that's when you learn more about yourself and where you kind of have to navigate a little bit, which you normally don't, because people don't like to be uncomfortable.
No.
So like being in a class learning something new, that's uncomfortable, and not everyone likes that, but I think that's where the sweet spot is. And I think if you're willing to do that, like the woman and at the Boss Babes event, I think you will discover things about yourself that you did not know.
Right. So. Does anyone stick out to you, as far as who you've really seen have that moment in one of your classes? Or?
It happens. It does happen more than you'd think. I think for me, because I teach private lessons, so I have a lot of students, and a lot of them are kids, and I've watched them grow. So when they've, ever since they're 8 and now they're like 16 or, whatever. So to me, I see the biggest change in them because they express interest in art and their parents want to cultivate it, but they don't always want to come, or they have homework, or, things happen and they're distracted, or they're teenagers and they're, teenagers. So seeing that time, like seeing them evolve and find the thing that really gets them excited and see them develop and work hard at it, and then also see how it parallels with their life as they grow is pretty cool. So to me, that's where I've seen the most. In adult classes, I have students who have come back multiple times to classes, and then they'll text me pictures because they're doing it at home by themselves, and that to me is where I see it the most, which is awesome.
That's fantastic. And I love that, you definitely try and embrace not just art classes, but that whole conversation, connection with people, social events and that kind of thing. Because I think that's part of finding your bliss it's not always a solo thing. I think by connecting with others and sharing, whether it's information or conversation or just hearing other people that you can relate to, whether you're joining in or not, makes that difference.
It's community, honestly. I mean, the journey is always inside, which sounds very cheesy, but to figure that is always, it comes back to you. But I think that finding other people and being inspired by other people and being open-minded to things is huge. And that's kind of what we're about here, is we're trying to create a space where you can come in and feel comfortable and talk or whatever and figure it out and kind of want to keep coming back. You know what I mean? Like, so our goal is just to create a really comfortable, creative space that when you walk in, you're kind of just like you get excited, So we do that through events and classes and that sort of thing.
Right. And if you're interested, if you're in the Western New York area, there'll be links to Vanessa's art studio on my website. So just kind of some general things, like what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? You talked about fear sometimes is what holds people back from creativity, and definitely in life with responsibilities. We all, I think, have things, that we feel like we can't try, but what would you do?
I mean, I guess in general, people always ask me, weren't you terrified to start the store? And I guess for me, it's all perspective.
Okay.
So nothing truly is permanent in the big, we don't have to go down that road. But, so starting a store, if it doesn't work, they try something else, pivot. So to me, that's not really is it failure or is it just, you just got to try something new? You know what I mean? It's just, to me, it's not very black and white like that. It's just not like, oh, I did it or I didn't. No. Or I'm good or I'm bad. Like, I don't think about it like that. I just think about what you're doing in relation to how people are receiving it.
Right. I think that's a great perspective. I like that word you use, pivot. You know, it's not about you get stuck or, you know, I think we look at things as very one way versus multi-directional and things like that. What's something that people think you kind of have together, but you're always kind of...
But I don't?
No. Because I think sometimes we all look a certain way and people make assumptions, but I want us to all seem very human. Like, we all have those moments.
I think people... I work a lot. So I think people are like, man, how do you do it? It's like, well, I usually work 12 to 14 hours a day. I mean, it's in a space that's my own and I'm comfortable and I can pop out in the middle of the day to, like, go to a workout class or go for a run. Like, I have the freedom to make choices or take days off if I have to, but I work a lot, you know, and you have a lot of responsibility. So I think that a lot of people, they're like, oh, it's a creative, you know, it's a store and it's easy and all you do is, like, artwork all day, right? And I'm like, well, I mean, yes, with other people, but you're guiding people and you're teaching people and you have the responsibility of, like, sculpting young minds. Yeah. So you're like, you know, there's that, and it takes a lot out of you, you know, when you're talking with people all day. I love it. It inspires me every day. But I think people think because of the nature of the business that it's, like, laid back.
Like, more laid back than it really is.
Yeah. I'm like, well, I mean, it is, but I'm still, like, busting my butt, you know? So I think, I don't know if that answers that question. But.
Absolutely. What would you do if you had more time?
If I would paint.
Paint more? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I would paint more. It is one of those things, and like anything, you just have to make time. If you want it bad enough, you just prioritize it.
Do you have a specific medium, like watercolor, acrylics, oil?
Acrylics that I love, because I like to paint really big.
Okay.
I would do more murals, and I would paint a lot more. That's like my 2020 goal is to get back to doing that, because I do a lot of commissions, and I'll work for the paint, you know, but it's not like for me, like to sit in my studio and paint just for me, like whatever I want. Okay. I couldn't tell you the last time I did that.
Has that changed definitely your painting
my God,
as far as, like, now that it's become your job, it's, you know, lost a little bit of what it gave you personally?
No. I think what the difference is frequency. So before I would be able to do it as an outlet and I would be able to, it's like going for a run, I guess. It's like I would, you know, back in college I had, my boyfriend in college would always say, you know, like, when was the last time you painted? Like, you're a little on edge. Yeah. So that's what they go paint. Like, go away, go paint. So for me, I think as you get older and as your life changes, you have other outlets, you know? So I would argue that for me, outlets are becoming more like yoga or something because that's a time. And I'm like, oop, I signed up, I have to go. So if there was like an art class that I had to sign up for, so I think for me it's frequency, but I don't think it's changed for me in terms of what I get out of it. I just have to do it more.
Okay. Great gratitude. I always believe that, you know, I think being mindful and present, you know, as far as where we are at that time and being able to appreciate it is important in finding our happiness as well. So if you had to think of 3 things you're grateful for, I like to call it your G. You know, what's your three things you're most grateful for?
I do write down 5 things every day.
That's fantastic.
I mean, I've been doing it diligently for a while, but ebbs and flows. But I would say for me, especially with the store, is my fiance. Okay. He helps me with anything that I want, and my parents are like, so mom, dad, Matt. I guess those are the 3 things. No, family, support, honestly, and then the girls, all of the girls who help me here. They are all women.
You have a great team.
Oh my God.
They look fantastic.
Yes, they're the best. So I would say, like, on a daily, I think about them every day. Like, all of them, they help with anything and everything. And they're, like, always showing up. So people are like, how do you do it? I'm like, I don't do it alone. It's not, like, I have, like, a whole gaggle of humans that help me from whatever. So
I think we all sometimes, you know, forget that we really do all have, like, a village and a tribe that kind of help us do it, and we don't have to be alone. And you know, when it comes to this journey of finding our bliss and finding our happiness in this crazy busy thing that we call life, you know, that being able to take a moment and appreciate it like you do, to find those practices, whether it's yoga, painting, running, you know, or just even being able to sit down and write it down that you appreciate it, I think makes a lot of difference.
Perspective.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Vanessa. This has been so much fun. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and we'll see you soon on The Bee Life.